Continuing along our saga of Indiana Jones films, we come across Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the second installment chronologically in the series, but it is set before the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And that's kind of an interesting thing because characters introduced in Raiders of the Lost Ark aren't seen in this one, and there are new characters introduced in this movie that obviously aren't seen in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And some of them make sense, some of them don't. But I'm here today to break down at least my personal reasons for why this movie isn't is rated the worst of the original three Indiana Jones films. I like it, but I also like both of the other two films better than this one, and I like to talk about why. So keep in mind this is going to be a full spoiler review, as we've already reviewed Raiders of the Lost Ark in the spoiler, non-spoiler, spoiler, half and half that I usually do. But I want to talk about specific reasonings in this movie. So let's dig in. The first thing that I want to say is that how different it is from the other two movies. For one, it is not set with the backdrop of World War II and the Nazis as the main enemies, and it is also not the artifact they're looking for isn't historically renowned or known as in the other two movies. Some similarities it does have is that there's the female companion, similar to Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the general sense of adventure and style of the movie is carried across. The main reason that I have for why it isn't ranked as highly as the other two is this movie is weird. Okay, now Raiders of the Lost Ark got weird in like the very last 15 minutes maybe. This movie gets weird at about the halfway point forward, and a lot of this movie occurs as continuous filming with, I mean, scene cuts, but the time elapsed is, it's like continuous, if you know what I'm saying. About halfway through the movie. Now, the characters in this movie, Willie, the singer, who is the female companion on this adventure, she grows on you, but at the very beginning, you kind of you wish she would just shut up, Towards the end of the movie, though, she does grow on you, and overall, I did enjoy her character arc over the movie, and I liked the spot that we were at the end. Now, Short Round, this is what I talked about earlier, that characters that should still be with him just aren't in Raiders. And I mean, it makes sense as far as, practicality, but as far as the timeline goes, what happened to Short Round? Indiana found him in Shanghai and took him under his wing. And at the end of this film, Indy, Willie, and Short Round are kind of shown as a family unit. And I mean, it makes sense how that Willie would disappear, but where did Short Round go? Another reason why this movie is different from the other two is that you don't get a feeling of Indy as the professor he is in the other two movies. It shows him in the university or museum or whatever. I still don't know what it is. Probably university, I'm guessing. But this one, it's just constant adventure, and it kind of gives a background, but it's just different. This has a different flavor to it than the other two movies. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, this movie, I appreciate that it went the direction it did and didn't make it like a carbon copy of the first film. And it's a good movie, but it doesn't quite reach the level of the first one. And the third, The Lost Crusades, which I will make a video about later, soon, but later, it kind of recaptures the first movie having been done at a later time. This is a direct sequel, and they obviously felt the pressure to change important things about it. But it stays constant in that especially during the first scene. The first scene over across all three films has kind of had the same theme, in that Indy does all he can, um, beyond what any regular person would be able to, and he still doesn't get what he wants. He loses the diamond in the first scene for this. He gets the antidote back and barely makes it out, only to be in the plane of the person he was fighting, crash landing, and that's when the story begins. And it was interesting how they did it in this film. I liked that. But once again, it shows this is not a bad thing. It shows that same theme across the movies. And at the end of this one, it's kind of the same theme, I would agree, but a different twist on it, in the fact that over the course of the whole film, he's talking about fortune and glory, and at the end, he gives it up for the village, which is, once again, the same thing happening. Which, no, I'm not complaining about that. It's a unification, and it really ties central to Indiana Jones's character arc, in the fact that if he was more selfish, like Belloc in the first movie, people would know who he is based on his findings, but people know who he is based on his reputation now. And over the course of the films, that's shown again and again. I apologize for kind of rambling in this video. It doesn't have much structure. But I kind of just wanted to open up a conversation about this film, putting my own thoughts out there and letting any of you respond. So please, if you have please put your own thoughts about this movie and questions to me in the comments below. But I'm going to try to wrap up this video now and give it a final rating on my top 100 movies. I put it at 68, right above Birdman, and right below, Some Like It Hot. So it's a pretty good spot. It's not as high as Raiders of the Lost Ark, but all the movies between them are all very good too. And I did enjoy this movie, and I think it was a good I admire the direction that the filmmakers took making this movie as a sequel. So once again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this content. And of course, leave any thoughts in the comments below, please. This has been another Rainy Tuesdays movie review. Once again, thanks for watching.